Hello everybody, I'm going to do my foundation and my eyebrow routine since a whole bunch of people have been asking about foundation, and then also I get a lot of compliments on my eyebrows, and as you can tell, it's just the makeup that makes them be compliment worthy. So yeah, I'm just going to get started. I use Cetaphil Daily Facial Moisturizer. And I really love this stuff. And just rub it in. After that, I go ahead and I put my eye cream on. I use the Simple Eye Soothing Balm, just about that much. And this stuff is really nice because it goes underneath your concealer really nicely. Then I'm going to go ahead and put on my chapstick. I use the Vaseline Lip Therapy. I do this because it can sit in my lips while I do my makeup, and I dab it off when I'm done with my makeup, and then my lipstick or whatever I decide to put on my lips when I'm done is much smoother and it looks much nicer on your lips. Next, I'm going to go ahead and apply my foundation. I use the Outlast Stay Fabulous foundation in the color Classic Ivory, and I just pump a little bit, probably about 1/4 of a pump, onto the back of my hand, and then I use my Color Stay by Revlon in the color 150 Buff, and I pour a little bit of that onto the back of my hand as well. Just a little baby bit. Looks like that on my hand. And then I take my foundation brush. You can use a sponge or your fingers. I just prefer a brush, and I use this one right here. It's just a flat top synthetic brush by Sonia Kashuk, and you can get them at Target. And then I just swirl it on the back of my hand and mix those two colors together. The reason I mix the colors together is because one is darker than the other and it becomes the perfect shade for my skin. And then I just like the consistency of both of them together and what it does for my skin because my skin is oily. I like these brushes because I can buff them into my skin, the ones that are flat and it's very dense, because I can buff it in. And when you're using one of the foundation brushes that looks like a paintbrush, those ones are harder because well, for me at least, those ones are harder because I get streaks and stuff like that, and that's what my mom was getting too, and I showed her that you can use one like this and it really helps out. So now I'm just going to go ahead and buff that into my skin. Now that that's all buffed in, I'm going to go ahead and put on my concealer. It's the Instant Age Rewind Concealer, and it's the color Light Pale. I just do a few clicks, and I took the little fluffy sponge thing off the top because I don't like how it dries out my eyes. And then I just put it on underneath my eyes. I concentrate it mostly on the inner corners because that's where I'm the darkest. And then I bring it out to the side. And I bring it right up underneath my eye. And then I make a triangle out of it. Right down the side of my nose, and then up my cheek to connect right there. And this is just going to brighten up my whole under eye area. And this right here is also going to help highlight when I start to highlight. This is going to be a good base for highlighting the top of my cheekbones. I'm just going to let that sit and move on to the other eye, and then I'll come back and blend it in later. Alright, now I'm going to buff that in. I like to warm up my finger on my hand, just because with a warm finger I feel like it actually helps blend it in a lot better. And then I start on the outside and I work my way into the corner. Make sure to get it blended up on my nose, just so that there's not a line right there. And then make sure it's really blended in the crease. Now that that's all blended in, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Warm up my finger. And then start. Now you can go ahead and get around your nose if you feel like you're a little bit red, because women hormonally are a little bit red around their nose. You can also take a little bit down the bridge of your nose if you wanted to highlight that. That'll help with slimming your nose. And then I take a little bit on my forehead also. With that, I'm just going to take my foundation brush and blend that in also. When you're doing your foundation and your concealer and everything, try not to get it on your lips as much as possible, unless you're going for like a red look, and then you can always mute them out so that everything will be true to the color that you put on it. But when you put your foundation on your lips, what happens is it starts to settle, and that's when you get that white line on the inside right here, and that's just, yeah, that's not cute. Alright, so now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and put my primer potion on my eyes. I use the Urban Decay primer potion, and it really helps with my eyeshadow so it doesn't crease. I just put a little tiny bit on, and I do this before I put my powder on, because if I do it after I put powder on, it kind of cakes up and it doesn't look very good. This stuff is amazing if you tend to crease in your eyeshadow. And I just go ahead and do the same on the other eye. Alright, so now that that's done, I'm going to set my under eye concealer. It tends to crease down there, so goodness, what is wrong? It tends to crease down there, so I take my translucent powder, which is the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder, and I just get a little bit on a fluffy brush, and this brush is a E40 by Sigma, and I just pat it underneath my eyes. And then I just go ahead and take my powder brush. It's a large powder brush from Eco Tools, and I just swirl it around in here and go to town. Okay, now that my powder's done, I'm going to go ahead and teach you guys about contouring and highlighting, okay? So, the rules with contouring and highlighting are, a contour should be matte, and it should be a few shades darker than your skin tone, or sheen. It doesn't, I mean, it shouldn't be, you'll see when I do it. It shouldn't be very overpowering, and you can get some that look muddy, so try to find stuff that, I guess, that you like for yourself, or stuff that's actually made to be a highlighter. I don't have one. I've just found something, an eyeshadow that I really like to use, and I'll tell you what that is too later. But when it's shimmery, it reflects the light, so you'll have, when you put it on top of your cheekbones, it'll reflect the light, and then your contour won't reflect the light, and it'll create depth, so it'll make your cheekbones look higher. It's a pretty cool trick, and I've done it on a lot of people, and it's actually really impressive what you can make people look like. It's pretty cool. And then I also like to use blush also, just so I can get that healthy flushed glow. So I'm going to show you what I do for my contour. I take this brush, I think it's a blush brush actually, from Eco Tools, and I'll just pinch it like this, you know, just so I can get it in there nicely. They do make contour brushes. And I just take this color right here, and this is from my e.l.f. contour blush palette, and I really like this. I just dab it like that in the color, and it's really rich and it's really pigmented, so I like to take it on the back of my arm and just swipe some of it off so I don't have a crazy harsh contour. I just want it to look as natural as possible but give me what I want it to give me. So I'm just going to squeeze my cheeks in and then just go for it. So that's the general placement of it, and then I just take my brush, fluffy, and I kind of tilt it like this on my face because I don't want to pull it down any farther in here, but I can blend it up a little bit more, you know, just for the blending purposes. Kind of blend it up a little bit onto my temple, and then blend it, make sure it's in your hairline so you don't have a line right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and dab again and swirl it on my arm. Take it on my ear, behind my jaw, and down here. And it's kind of almost like right on my jawline. Some of it gets on my jawline. Right under my chin. Dab it again, swirl it, get it on my neck so that my head looks like it belongs on the right body. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to take it around my hairline. Just make sure you get it as close as possible. If you have a larger nose, or there's just even things about your nose that you don't like and you want to be able to contour that as well, you can. You can just take a brush. You could probably even do it with a brush like this, the one that I use for underneath my eyes, and you could take it in that same contour shade, and I'm not going to do it because it would make my nose disappear, but you can take it and you just blend it down the sides, and you just make sure it's really well blended and you don't use a lot at all. But you can also do that, and then you just use your highlight right here, and it would make your nose suck in a little bit if you feel like your nose is too far out this way. If you wanted to bronze instead of contour, you could just take that shade and you could just go over all the places that the sun would hit. So next I'm going to do my blush, and then I'll do my highlight. For my blush, I'm just going to take this peachy shade from this little e.l.f. duo right here, and I really love this blush. And I just take it on an e.l.f. blush brush and just dab it in there, tap off any excess, and smile. Make sure it's really well blended. And now my blush is done. Make sure that your blush and your bronzer are really blended together nicely, so there's not a line between the both of them. And then if you feel like that looks kind of overpowering, you can always take your powder brush with whatever was left over of powder and kind of go over those two, and that'll also help blend them together a little bit. For my highlight, I'm going to take this shade in my Naked 2 palette. It's called Booty Call. It's just this really pretty shimmery color, and it's kind of pinkish a little bit. And then I'm going to take that right on the top of my cheekbones, so it'll highlight and make me have the look of higher cheekbones. So I just take it and I run it across the top of my cheekbone, and I kind of, you know, swirl it right here and blend it in, because that's not bad for a highlight right there. And then I kind of bring it up here, and so when I do my brow bone highlight, when I do my makeup, it'll blend nicely. And you can see that it just adds like a pretty shimmer sheen to it. And then I also like to take that same shade and I do a little bit of contouring on my lips, because I mean, they're fine, but it's fun just to make them look a little different, you know? So I just take that shimmery color on one of these, on this brush, and then I flatten it a little bit. And just run it on the top of my lip because it just does awesome things. I really like it. I run a little bit of the extra on my nose just to like tie in all my shimmer together. And then you also can take a lighter brown shade and you can put it underneath your lip. If you feel like your lips are small or your bottom lip's a lot smaller, you can always take a matte brown shade, and I'm going to use this one right here. It's called Naked by Urban Decay, and it's my Urban Decay Naked palette, the first one. And then I just take a little bit, and you can hardly even see that. It's not a very dark shade at all. And run it underneath my lip, and I'll show you how it's done. I just curl my lip over like this, and then blend it in really nicely. And as you can tell, it just darkens that up right there, and it kind of gives the illusion of your lip being bigger, so it's like pouring over, I guess is the word for that. I don't really know. Yeah, so that is my foundation, and you do not have to do all those steps. I just really like it. My, I guess, like flawless foundation. And then, oh, I have a black brush hair. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my eyebrows, since a lot of people ask me about my eyebrows. So I'm going to zoom you in just a little bit and then go ahead and show you my eyebrow routine. Okay, so as you can tell, my eyebrows are not perfect at all. They are very thin and they don't grow very well on the sides, and this one's really sparse through right here, and it doesn't grow very good on this side either. So when you're doing your eyebrows, the general rule of an eyebrow is if you take a stick and you go alongside your nose and your tear duct and you bring it up, right here is where your eyebrow is supposed to start, right there. And then if you look straight ahead and you bring your stick on the side of your nose and through the center of your eye, that right there is where your arch should start. And then if you take it on the side of your nose again, and then on the side of your eye, that right there is where your eyebrows should end. And now I'm going to make my eyebrows do what they're supposed to do. I use this right here. It is the Define a Brow by Maybelline, and I really like this product. It's very thin and it's amazing. So I've tried a whole bunch of stuff, and this is the one eyebrow pencil that it stays on all day, and I'm oily, and that's good because a lot of times I have to touch my eyebrows up, and this is, I don't, and it's really awesome. And it doesn't show up red, and it's the color medium brown is what I use for myself. And so yeah, I'm just going to show you what I do. I start at the bottom, and I just do light strokes. I'm not pushing hard. I'm just doing light little feathering strokes through my eyebrows. And extend the front a little bit. You see that? Just a tiny bit. There are hairs right there, they're just very sparse. And I concentrate most of the color onto the bottom. And then in the front, I just flick it up and I like lightly flick down. Just to give the illusion of like the eyebrow actually being there, you know? Frown. I don't know why, but I do. Perfect my arch on top. And then I extend the tail. So that's one eyebrow done, and then I take this spoolie right here, and then I just brush the product through my eyebrow so it doesn't look like there is crayon in my eyebrow. And I concentrate it a lot on the front just to lighten that up a little bit. And then I just comb it through. And once I get to where my hair stops, I stop so that I don't brush any of this product out, because that's not any eyebrow right in here. And then yeah, that's my eyebrows. You can totally tell, like, really, when I get compliments, you guys, and I tell you like my eyebrows are not good and everybody's like, oh my gosh, I really like your eyebrows, it's really the makeup, and it's really just the technique and the shape that I've gotten down to know how to make my eyebrows the shape that I want them, because obviously that is not a compliment worthy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this eyebrow, and then I'll be right back with you guys. Yeah, so there's my eyebrows all done. Yeah, and just remember, your eyebrows aren't going to be exactly the same. And I'm sure you've heard the term before, they're sisters, not twins. Really, they're not going to be the same. And just let them do their thing. Don't fight with them, because then you're going to have crazier eyebrows than these guys. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup later off camera. Maybe actually I'll do like a little talk through get ready with me video without the foundation. I just wanted to give you guys a foundation and eyebrow tutorial so you guys would know. If you don't like using a stick eyebrow liner, you can also use a powder, and with like an angled brush or something like that, that works too. I just really like how this stays on myself. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a really great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!